Good morning. Can you remember what the sermon was about last Sunday? I remember many years ago when I was in college, in one of the classes, our lecturer asked us that very question. Can you remember what the sermon was about last Sunday? And he picked on one of the students, Ian, and he said, Ian, can you remember what the sermon was about last Sunday? Now this was on about a Friday, and Ian thought for a while, and then he said, I'm really sorry, I can't. Now that happens to us, doesn't it? And it's maybe happened to you just now. And the lecturer, who was a kindly man, he said to Ian, look, don't worry about it, Ian. It happens to all of us. Ian quickly replied, I am worried, because I was the preacher. Some sermons are memorable. They're etched on your memory, and you won't forget them. Back in 1987 in Edinburgh, one Wednesday evening, when we were visiting, my father-in-law suggested to me that I might like to accompany him to Holyrood Church to hear Dr. Don Carson preaching. I didn't really know a lot about Don Carson, but I trusted my father-in-law's judgment, and off we went to Holyrood to hear D.A. Carson. I will never forget that evening, and I will never forget the sermon. Let me share with you today Don Carson's text on that occasion. Matthew 11, verse 11. Truly, I say to you, among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Here is a remarkable verse. Now you know the context here because we were thinking about this on Wednesday evening. John is in prison. He's pretty cast down. He has some doubts. He expected Jesus to be more fiery, more judgmental in his ministry. He's been cut off for some time from all the activity and ministry of Jesus. He's languishing in prison. He's troubled within. And he sends some messengers to Jesus to ask this question: are you the Messiah? Are you really the anointed one of God? Jesus reassures him. Jesus reminds him of what he's doing. He's healing the sick. He's raising the dead. Jesus encourages him to reflect on the teaching of the prophets as they spoke about the ministry of the Messiah. And then the Saviour turns to the crowd and speaks warmly and positively, affirmatively of John. And during the course of what Jesus is saying, he utters these words: I say to you, among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. Now that's a big statement, isn't it? What does Jesus mean by that? Well, John was a prophet, but there is a sense in which he was the greatest of the prophets. The prophets foretold the coming of Jesus. They looked forward to the appearing of the Messiah. But John had the privilege not only of foretelling the coming of the Messiah, but of actually meeting and seeing the Messiah. But more than that, John's prophetic ministry had a certain uniqueness about it. He was the forerunner, the one of whom the prophet Malachi had spoken, the one who would come to prepare the way for the coming of Jesus, the Elijah who was to come. So we can see why Jesus would speak these words about John. Among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. But it's the next statement here that puzzles me. Does it not puzzle you? Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. I mean, I'm sitting here in my garden in East Belfast. I'm endeavouring to exercise a faithful ministry. But John the Baptist, his ministry was spoken of in the Bible. John the Baptist was the cousin of Jesus. John the Baptist was the forerunner who prepared the way for the coming of the Lord. John the Baptist was a man who saw thousands of people converted through his ministry. How am I greater than John the Baptist? How are you, if you are in the kingdom of heaven, greater than John the Baptist? On one level, this statement seems almost bizarre. The one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. How can this be? How can I be greater? How can you be greater? You're a Christian, yes. You have a living faith in Jesus Christ, yes. But how are you greater than John the Baptist? Well, here's the answer. We are greater than John the Baptist because we live this side of the cross. He was looking forward to the cross, anticipating the death of Jesus on behalf of his people. But he never got to see it. He died before Calvary. He died before Pentecost. You and I have the enormous privilege of living now in the era when we live, when we can look back to Calvary, when we can look back to the perfect, great sacrifice which our Saviour offered there. Come with me. Come, we'll go back down to the docks. Come, it's a misty evening, and the Stena ferry is coming into the terminal there. I can see it, but it's misty, it's hazy. That's how it was for the prophets and others in the Old Testament as they looked forward to the coming of Jesus, as they anticipated the suffering servant and the sacrifice that he would offer. But come with me again. We're going on a different day. It's a beautiful day. The sky is blue. The sunshine is blazing. It's a lovely day. There's the ferry. The Stena ferry, approaching so clearly, sharp, easily seen. This is the era in which we live. How thankful we should be. Do you know, I don't think I'm thankful enough. No. I don't think I'm thankful enough for the wonderful privilege and the great blessing of being able to look back to the cross, to know of the finished work of Christ. That my faith isn't hazy, but my faith is clear in that I am able to clearly see what Jesus has done for me. I say to you, among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Good morning.